Hi guys, welcome to this video. So in this video we are going to build a Mern application, so using React Express, okay, and we are going to, as well as MongoDB, to build this full stack application. So it's going to have a login logout functionality. You are going to fetch data coming from an API, and you are going to save the data, okay, in the database. And we are going to see how you can implement all this. Yeah, so how to implement all this using MongoDB, Express, and React. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. So here, if you look at the home page, you can search for, let's say, pizza. All right, and it's going to fetch pizza. All right, so we'll see how to do this, and as well how do you log into your account, how do you log out to your account, how to add a meal to your favorites. Okay, so see more details and close. Okay, you can look at the YouTube page. All right, so it's going to be a pretty complete application that's going to help you use all this at once. So all these languages at once, so all these frameworks. Okay, so you have the Express, you have React at once, and as well as MongoDB. So we'll work with a database to save the data. Okay, I mean the favorites that you have, and then show them later when you are logged in. So for that, I have here on my terminal, I'm going to create. So I'm going to create here, make dir here. So mails, okay, and into mails, cd into mails, and have here npx. Okay, so for the client, I need to have React. So create, you can use npx create React app. You don't need to install anything. In fact, you need to install Node.js, but apart from that, you don't need to install create React app. You can just fetch it from npx means app. Right, and while it's doing that, we are going to create as well our application basically. So new, let's see, new tab. All right, so ls, we are going to create our backend. So I can say here meals server. Okay, and this is going to be our server. So you have the client here, and you will have the server here. All right, so the API that we are going to use is going to be the mails API. So mails API here, mails API, this one, the MealDB. It's a pretty straightforward application, very explanatory. So you can search mail by name, by first letter, by ID. So we are going to look at how to do this. For example, if I look at a mail by first letter, no, so go to this, so it gives me this JSON file. All right, and then I'm going to take this JSON file and then show it into my DB. So let's install JSON formatter in Chrome. So look at this JSON formatter, add to Chrome. All right, so we have a nicer way to show the Chrome here. All right, so this is the parsed, so the row, the parsed data here. So we have a couple of information for each mail. Okay, so starting with A. All right, so let's now check if our React has finished. Okay, it hasn't finished yet. Let's wait for it. Should finish. All right, so now we have it. I'm going to cd into my mails app and open it with VS Code. All right, so let's look at now run npm start to get started. And we have our boilerplate basically. So we are going to work with this API to have this project. All right. So in the src app.js, we can remove this header. Okay. And now we'll just have a blank page, and we can have here an h1 that will say Mills app. So we have Mills app here. All right. So let me remove this. Okay. So in React, we have what we call components. So I'm going to create a component first of all for this navigation, another one for the header, and another one for so if I go refresh, another one for our for each mail. Okay. So let's get started. I'm going to use what we call React Bootstrap. So we can have here React Bootstrap. React Bootstrap. Install it, so get started. Okay. So here we need to have Bootstrap and React Bootstrap. So let's take that using npm. If you use yarn, you can as well use yarn just by saying yarn add. All right. Okay. So now we have Bootstrap. Okay. So we need to have the CSS as well. I'm going to put this into index.js file here. All right. So in this index.js, that's where we have Bootstrap. So now I can remove this class name. Okay. And we'll have should have Bootstrap. So localhost 3000. We have Bootstrap now installed. All right. So you see the font here. This is the Bootstrap font, and we can now start building our navigation. So React Bootstrap. Look at the components. So we have navigation, so navbar. I need to have a navbar here. Okay. So I'm going to take a one that has a left navbar as well. So let's just take this first one, navbar. And I'm going to create here a components folder inside the src. So call it components. Inside the components, I'll have navbar. And inside navbar, I'll have index.js. Okay. So I'm going to use a handy tool. So to have a functional component like this, and name it navbar. Now this shortcut is coming from the extensions ES7 React Redux, so you can install it, this one, and you will have access to it. So by just saying RFCE, it means React Native, React Functional Component with export here. All right. So now in this navbar, we need to have the Bootstrap here. I'm going to just return this navbar I took from the Bootstrap, and I can import. So what I need here, let's just say from React Bootstrap first, and then it's going to give us now navbar container, and we have a button, we don't have a button, right? And now after this, I can just come here and use it. So say navbar here to have our navigation. Let's refresh. Alright, so should be actually not this one, should be the navbar coming from the components. So coming from components navbar, and it says okay, shouldn't have the same name. I can have here app navbar, export default app navbar. So it says nav not defined, so we need to have, let's look at the node here. We are going to have here nav and nav drop down. Alright, so now we should have our navigation. Okay, and we are going to make a couple of changes here by saying here instead of React Bootstrap, now drop down. Yeah, this one. Actually, I should change this theme. Okay, so now this one should be meals. Okay, that's what we have here. So we can have home for the home, this one, and we have here login. Okay, actually let me change this theme, color theme. Just use this one. Yeah, this one is better. All right, so we have now the home, the login. Okay, and we can have here for the drop down, we can have other actions, but I'm just going to remove it because we don't need it. So I can just have login and log out. All right, so let's just remove it, this, and the nav drop down, so this up to here. All right, so now we have home, okay, and login. So this is our navigation. All right, now the next is to have, if you look at the app here, the next one is to have this one here. So this is like a jumbotron with some background image. All right. Right, so this is going to have like an image, so you can take from a website like Unsplash, and with some here, this is just a button, okay, an input with a button. All right, so let's see now how it's done. I can have here a component for another one for, let's say, I can call it jumbotron. Okay, and then have index.js inside. So RFC again to have here my jumbotron, and have here a div. Okay, this div will have a background image on it, so we need to have CSS. So I'm going to have here index.css. Let's just say style.css, styles.css, and I'm going to import it. So here by saying import /styles.css. All right, so this style.css, we are going to need it when we for starting our navigation, so for giving some background color to our navigation. All right, so here we need to have some search input, and this one, let's look at React Bootstrap. We should have some inputs here. Search for input. All right, so it's in the input group, so I'm going to look at this one. So the button plus an add-on here. So it is, so the first one is this one, input group with the button, and this is the second one here, recipient's username. It's there, this one. So I'm going to take this one with the button. All right, so let's take this one. Okay, I can just import it here, and have here some fragment. So we don't need to have a div, but just a fragment. All right, and then this input group is coming from React Bootstrap. So from React Bootstrap, and I can just have here input group and form control. So form control, and actually it needs does it need a form? No, don't need to have a form, so that's fine. And a button, of course, so button. All right, and now I can make this my jumbotron like this, my jumbotron. Okay, and this is going to be the jumbotron, so I can now put it in app.js from now, but we'll leave it next in the home. So let's say here jumbotron. Okay, my jumbotron, and if you look at it, so we have this the button here and the username. All right, alright guys, so now the next thing is to deal with images. So we are going to have here the style.css, and inside here I'm going to have a class name that's going to be just jumbotron, right? And I'll have here, so jumbotron, so I have here background image. I can just say background image, and have here the URL, and I just took an image from Unsplash, the website image, so you can choose yours. Okay, and the next is so background position, background repeat. I can say here no repeat. Let's say no repeat. Background position center, and another one background size. Actually here this background size I can say cover, so that it covers everything. All right, so let's see what you have. So we see something here, but it's not actually what we need. Let's see. Oh wait, I put it in the wrong place. Did I put it in the right place? Let's see. Jumbotron, yeah, it should be there actually. I don't know why I put it. So div class equals, you can just say my jumbotron div, and in the style.css I can say here my dash jumbotron. All right, and now we can add here a height of 300 pixels, and you see now we have it. All right, let's just make it a bit bigger. Okay, so we have now 500 pixels, which is fine. Now the next another thing is here we need to have some overlay. All right, so I'm going to have here I'm going to have here some linear gradient. Okay, so by just saying linear gradient. All right, linear gradient, so with RGBA 0 0 0 with some alpha of 0.6, let's say, and another one RGBA 0 0 0 and 0.8, and now I can have the URL. Yes, like this, linear gradient. So what's the issue here? gradient. Add some. Alright guys, so actually it's linear gradient. Okay, so I add some comma here, and inside I have RGBA 0, 0, 0, 0 0.5, 0.6, and another one RGBA 0, 0, 0, and 0. Let's say 8. Right, so now let's see what you have. We have something. Right, so we have now some linear gradient, so coming from top to bottom. So the top one is this and the bottom one is this. Alright, so I can say here display of flex, okay, to align our search icon, I mean the search input, justify content, center, and align items to center it vertically. So you see now we have our search and the button. Okay, got it. The search and the button, okay, on the same level, so centered vertically. Now this one is taking some space, the input group, so we can have here danger like this, and okay, from control, so the placeholder you can say here search for a meal. Let's remove this, I don't need to read it. I'll describe by, so we can have here meal search button, the same meal search button. Alright, and this, so we can say here meal, just to describe it for screen readers. So we can say here meal search input. Okay, alright, so now this input group, from control, class name MB3 for margin bottom. We can have here let's look at, okay, I'm going to add it here some class name. So class name, let's say input, so button input, and let's say here button input with width of let's say 60%. Doesn't work, so button input, jumbotron button input. Okay, button input, we've got the styling, inspect. Okay, input doesn't seem to apply, button input. Refresh, see to have. Okay, so if I have it with here 60%, right, so actually it's being overwritten by sorry, so it's being overwritten by the bootstrap. So what we can do here is to have here another div, because I don't want to deal with the bootstrap class names. I know that you can do it, but yeah, just prefer using CSS, and have here the button input that wraps it. So you can have a class name here. Okay, and now it should be fine. We have the search for a meal in our div. All right, so we can have here, let's say, in the style CSS, let's say we can have as well some styling for smaller screens, but yeah, so should be fine. Using major queries we could do that, but like what's the important thing is here to, when I click the button, okay, to search for a meal and then put the meals here. All right, so now the next thing is to know how to fetch data when the application loads. So actually before that we need to have here a home component and then build our pages. All right, so I'm going to say here pages. Inside pages I'll have home, okay, and inside the home I'll have index.js and styles.css. Index.js I can use a shortcut RFC and have here home, okay, and this is where I'll have now the jumbotron. So I can say my jumbotron here, import it, and inside in the app.js, instead of having my jumbotron here, I'm going to have the home like this, and we can remove the jumbotron. Right, so the pages should be actually inside the src. Let's put it here and save, okay, and then save it here so the updates it. Okay, we still have it. Let's look at the mail. So we can have here welcome, okay, here you can search your favorite mails as well. Let's build that in the my jumbotron. We can have here inside my jumbotron we can have h1, so welcome, and let's say h2. You can search your favorite mails. All right, and then let's see what you have. So we have it like that, but we don't want it like that. So I'm going to make some changes here. The my jumbotron, actually it should be row, the flex direction. So in the jumbotron, so the jumbotron here, style.css, I'm going to have here flex direction to be column. Okay, so I have it like in a column, and the color should be here white. All right, so I'm going to say, so my jumbotron h1 and h2. Let's say my jumbotron, yeah, h1 and h2. I'm going to have a color of white. See if it works. All right, so you see now it works. Okay, but we need to have some margin top here. So I can have here for the my jumbotron button input some margin top of 30 pixels, and it should be fine now. All right, so now we can search for a mail. It should be fine. Okay, now the next thing is to have so we have the home page. The next thing is when we start the application, we want to fetch all the mails, all our mails. All right, so we are going to use the effect hook, and then with the effect hook we will fetch the data coming from our API. Okay, so I'm going to install here npm I Axios, not actually, so I need to cd. Okay, I'm already in it, so I can just say npm I Axios to have Axios installed, and import here Axios from Axios. and then here using the effect hook that I can import from React. So I can just say import from React and say use effect. Okay, and the use effect is a hook that I can use to do things when the application loads or when something happens. Okay, in this case I want to fetch the data when the application loads, so it takes a dependency array. We don't need the dependency array to have anything here from now. So I'm going to say axios dot get, and to get this data, okay, we are going to look at here from now. Take this one and put it here. All right, and now I can say that then, so when I get the data, I want to console the log that the data, not the actual data as a string, but the data. Okay, like this. Now when the application loads like this, I can inspect it. Let's remove this. Inspect, look at our console, and it says fail to fetch the data, which means here we need to have actually HTTP. Okay, let's say HTTPS still. Refresh, and now we get the data, which means when the application loads, we are going to have this data inside, so for our meals. Okay, so I can just use this structuring here to get the data inside of the whole object, and you see that we have the meals here. All right, so now we need to have like a state, and this state is going to manage our application. So keep track of the meals that we have here, okay, in the app. So actually this should be in the home.js. So let's just cut it out from here and put it in the home. So like this, and cut this one out as well and put it here. All right, so there is no change apart from we need to have axios as well. Save, okay, and save this app.js as well. And now we still have our axios, and we still have the data. I'm going to use the state to store the data inside the state using the use state. So I can have here use state. We don't need this actually. And use state works like this, so it returns an array, use state, and then inside the array the first item is your state. Okay, I can say here meals and set meals use state. Okay, with I want to start with this empty array. Right now when I get the data, I want to set the meals, so set meals to be okay the data, and we can have as well, let's say that catch if things don't go well. So error, it takes an error, and I can just log error, the value of error. Okay, so if I refresh, we can inspect our components using the React DevTools, and here in the app we have the home, right? And the home has now a state of meals, but actually this is not what we need. So the data here is an object, and we have the data.meals. So I want to say data.meals to take the array. So we have now an array of meals. Now when we get the meals, okay, what we want to do here is to show the meals here. So if we inspect again, look at the components, look at home. Okay, now for each meal we have some information like the str meal, id meal, SCR mail thumb. Okay, so what we are going to do here is to show the mails. I'm going to create for that another one for mails container, and it's going to be in the components. So I can say here mails container, and inside index.js and styles.css, and here RFC as well. So mails container. Okay, and this is going to take props, so I can just use the structuring mails here. And now for each mail, what we are going to do is we will loop using the map, so mails that map, and for each mail I just want to show something. So for each mail I want to show a div that has inside the mail that SCR thumb, so SCR mail, which is the name for the mail. And this we are going to use it now in our, let's import here, import that slash styles.css. Okay, so for this one, now when we look at the home, okay, when we get here the mails, I want to say so mails container, right, and that has so mails here equals you can just say mails. So now we pass these mails to the mails container so that it shows it. All right, now if you look at our application, we have now the 4 names, okay, for our mail. Okay, so this is complaining because we need to have a key value. So in our map I can have here idx, okay, and just say here key equals, we don't need the idx, actually we have the id mail, which is this id mail, so I can just use it as a unique identifier. So I can say id mail, so mail.id mail to have it, so now it doesn't complain anymore. All right, now let's build our just mail. Okay, so which is, this is the mails container, but we need another one to show just one mail card. All right, and here mail, so just say index.js and styles.css. So for this index.js you can say RFC and mail card. Okay, so it's going to take a bunch of things here, but let's just import, look at the card here for Bootstrap. All right, so we can just take this one, this basic card, and I'm going to return it here. Okay, so we return this card and import what we need from React Bootstrap. So import the card, and yeah, that's, and the button. Okay, now for each mail we are going to show the card. So I can say here, inside of for each mail I just show mail card like this, and now we see that we should have, okay, a bunch of cards even if we don't have the images themselves, okay, or the descriptions. All right, and then here we can just throw out the mail as a prop, and we are going to now in the mail card we are going to take what we need here, which is str mail, and another one is let's just take str mail, put it here in the title, str mail. Okay, so now we have the mail here. You can inspect it, look at the components, look what we have for each mail. So we can take the image, which is str mail thumb. So take it here, str mail thumb, and instead of src here, we can remove this one and replace it with str mail thumb. Okay, to have the images. All right, and for the description, let's look at the description if we have it, or I don't think we have it. Yeah, we don't have it, so it doesn't give us any description. All right, but that's still fine. We can just remove this text and then have a button that says see more. Okay, and now we have the see more here. And now let's just style it. So the str mail container, give it here class name equals, so mails container, and for the styles you can have here mails container. That's going to be a display of flex. Justify content, you can say space evenly, and have flex wrap. Okay, and now we have some basic styling here. Okay, and we can have here some padding top, let's say 50 pixels. All right, so now we have the styling that we need for showing the mail. Okay, so when we click see more, it should show you the mail. But from now, okay, we can stop there, and then in the next video what we are going to do is build our routes for the login route. Okay, and deal with here, when you look at see more, it should bring you here more info. Okay, like this one, the instructions. Okay, so we are going to do it in the next video, and I'll see you in the next one.